Welcome back to another episode of Scary Sundays. It's only fitting that I'm recording this on Monday again, and I procrastinated a lot before finally getting down to recording this video because today's topic is procrastination. So, unless you've been living under a rock, if you follow me, you've probably heard me going on and on about this 100 songs that I'm doing. And I mean, all kinds of stuff has come up during this process, and I actually think that I'm brainstorming ways of once I'm ready to start releasing the songs. I think I might release them in a way that kind of tells a story about the process itself, to kind of let you guys in a more intimate glance at just like what it was like to do this process. I mean, today was day 90, 91, or song 91, and I think I'm going to be finished with all 100 songs by Friday. So, but one of the things that has definitely come up quite a bit is procrastination. Um, just like it's just, I think with anything that you do with like that level of regularity or commitment or discipline, um, I've just noticed like a lot of resistance coming up where I'll just sit on my phone and just scroll on Instagram mindlessly, or just eat like to distract myself from just going to do basic things like open my computer and open Ableton and start making music or even making a video like this. And if you're anything like me, it can be very easy to beat up on yourself when you procrastinate. Like I know for myself, um, I'm just like a very tough critic on myself. So when I'm not operating optimally, or when I'm not like living up to my standards that I set for myself, that voice in my head can begin to become very critical, and I can kind of be like a not so great of a friend to myself, if that makes sense. Like just the way that that voice can talk to me if I'm not aware of it. And then obviously that doesn't help with procrastination. If anything, I've noticed that when I do talk to myself that way, um like I end up sabotaging myself more, right? Because I'm like not giving myself the grace and compassion and love to say, hey, like you're trying something really difficult. Like you're trying to write 100 songs in honestly closer to 80 days, and that's super hard. And for those of you watching, just substitute whatever it is in your life that's challenging that maybe you've been procrastinating on, and just giving yourself that compassion. I know that for me, that's not the natural, doesn't come naturally, that compassion. So I really need to be conscious. But when I don't give myself that compassion and I'm just hard on myself, it ends up like making me procrastinate more, basically, because it's like almost like a rebellion. Like the part of me that's procrastinating is like, fuck you, like you're not being kind to me. I'm just going to continue to sabotage you. Um, and so it got me thinking about like, I mean, I think I don't want to make like a why do we procrastinate video, because honestly, I'm not like a social psychologist. So I don't know if I'm the best person to give like to wax poetic about theories around that. But I do want to just speak for a couple minutes based on my own experience of like my personal flavor of procrastination recently. And not even, again, like not necessarily where it comes from. Like sure, I can have ideas about that, but more just like more of a solution oriented thing of like how am I dealing with it in a way that is kind to myself, without treating it like some terrible affliction or problem or deficiency within myself that I need to solve. And there's a great poem by David White about procrastination. David White, as in like Whyte. I don't know if it's actually called procrastination, but I guess if you just Google David White procrastination, you'll find it. And I was reading this poem the other day, and it was really really beautiful. And he was basically kind of sharing this idea that really resonated with me, that helped me out a bit, that I want to share with you guys. And the basic gist of it is that what if procrastination is like an integral part of your process? Whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? We often think that procrastination just serves no good function because it's making us less efficient, it's delaying the time that the task takes us. And so it can be very easy to look back and regret, like, oh my God, I can't believe I wasted 2 hours on YouTube or whatever, or like I didn't go to bed on time because I was just procrastinating going to bed, or I was procrastinating this or that. And then sometimes when we finally get to the task and it's not so bad once we get into it, and then we finish it and we're like, I just wasted those 2 hours. But I guess what I'm sort of questioning with myself and what I would offer to you guys if this is resonating with you is, what if those 2 hours of procrastination wasn't a waste, right? Like, what if that was the time that your nervous system needed, that your mind needed, that your body needed to actually process and let the task marinate and simmer in your mind, so that by the time you were ready to do it, maybe you wouldn't have come to it with the level of urgency that you ultimately did. Or maybe you wouldn't have, if it's a creative thing, like if you're an artist, maybe you wouldn't think of a certain idea because you hadn't given yourself that time to just marinate and do nothing. And I think when I start framing procrastination more as, it's just part of the process. It might be a part of the process that I find that I don't logically right away see a use case for, because when I think about it from my rational mind, I'm like, well, I'm just doing nothing. How is that part of the process? But in the same way that, when you're asleep, you're not actively working on your life, like you're not actively working on any of your projects, but we know that sleep is super important because it's restful. And I guess what I'm exploring within myself after reading that poem and just watching my behavior too, is I wonder if procrastination in its own way is a form of rest, is a form of rest for the part of ourself that is constantly trying to get things done and constantly trying to optimize and constantly trying to be efficient. And I'm just thinking about that for myself because I am so much like that typically. Like, I'm just all about efficiency, like optimizing my diet, optimizing everything so that I can just be at my best. And the fact of the matter is, like, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself as a human being. And I'm trying to get better about being easy on myself, um, with that stuff. And I think, like, being alone, which I consciously chose to do for this experiment that I'm doing with 100 songs, adds to that because, like, I don't have like friends to be like, hey, stop working, we're gonna go watch a movie or something. I'm just like, I could just keep working because I'm just by myself. So I'm starting to view my procrastination more as like, there's some subconscious part of me that's like forcing me to just be unproductive if I don't choose to do it myself, because there's a deeper intelligence within me that knows that my mind needs that rest, or my mind needs that time to just simmer and allow ideas to percolate and swim and marinate together. So I'm trying this on for size. I wanted to just share it with you guys in case it helps you, in case any of you can relate to what I'm talking about, or in case any of you also have a harsh inner critic that judges you for procrastinating. I'm trying to be a little kinder with myself, and when I notice myself procrastinating, you know, not necessarily like celebrate it and be like, sweet, I'm procrastinating, let me just do nothing the rest of the day. Nice. But at the same time, not judge it. Like, just allow it to just be what it is and genuinely feel into the experience of procrastination to get a sense for, what am I getting out of this? Like, what is beneficial out of this? And then maybe there's a way that I can get those benefits uh, in a way where I don't judge myself. And I think it's less about the activity changing and more about just bringing a level of consciousness. So if I find myself scrolling Instagram or watching YouTube, just allowing myself to be like, okay, like, there's a part of me that just needs this break right now, and I'm going to allow myself to have it, rather than militantly, like, slapping my own wrist and being like, you idiot, like, you're procrastinating. And what I'm finding is that when I do that, uh, the period of time that I procrastinate shortens because I just let myself fully procrastinate. It's like, kind of like getting into a cold pool or something. It's like you just jump in, and then it's like the suffering is like shorter because, like, you just jumped in and yeah, it was cold, but like, you're good, as opposed to if you just went in like inch by inch and you just prolong out the suffering. So that's my hypothesis. I'll check in with you guys and see if I do end up procrastinating less. But I think that's the point, is that it's not about if I am trying to procrastinate less, then I'm still putting that pressure on myself and using this as a strategy. But it's more just allowing myself to judge myself less. And my theory is that the less I judge myself for procrastinating, the more I will feel safe with myself, the more I will feel loved and accepted by myself, all parts of myself, including the lazy parts that don't want to do work or whatever. And I feel like then I will want to escape from the tyranny of my inner critic less, which will cause me to procrastinate less because oftentimes it is just like a dissociative response. At least for me, I've noticed. So that's my theory that if I'm kind to myself, and just accept it, then the desire to escape through procrastination will decrease. Either that, or my life will just completely fall apart. I'll just like be an unproductive piece of jello, vegan jello, that is. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. That's the Scary Sunday for today. Love you guys. Peace.